Carried. Good. Right, so next we'll hear from our community boards. First up is Fendalton, Waimarie, Harewood, and I'd like to welcome Bridget and Jason to the table, please.
Morena, everyone. Oh, so first up,
Morning.
There we go. Decisions made under delegations. So there's been a few and they're all quite varied. So we've had the approved surface water management plan for Avonhead Park, approved bus stop relocation on Clyde Road. There's been a range of funding applications for summer with your neighbours. And we've also approved discretionary response fund applications for Nepal NZ Friendship Society and the Russley Play Centre, and also approved 4 applications to the board's Youth Development Fund. So we've had 2 public forums at our last meeting. Shona Willis and Bob Shearing spoke to the board about the exciting plans that they have as part of their Riccarton Bush Enhancement Project. The plans include replacement of their boardwalk to make it safer and more accessible for wheelchairs and prams, the establishment and improvement of various gathering spaces, and the development of a children's nature learning area. This is such a well-loved asset in our city, and we look forward to seeing their plans progress. We also had a local resident speak to us about looking at developing some sort of bike pump track in Jeffreys Reserve or nearby. I'm sure a number of other boards have also experienced kids attempting to create some dirt jumps in a local park, but unfortunately due to safety issues or concerns from neighbours, these are removed by council staff. And we asked staff to investigate whether there was a local park in the Fendalton area where we could create something for them. We would really love to have something where kids can play on their bikes rather than sitting in front of their computer screens.
It has been awesome to see the number of young people participating in activities bounce back after not being able to travel due to COVID. Over the past 12 months, our board has been pleased to provide financial support to 95 local young people to attend a variety of events around the world. Although a large number are attending activities within New Zealand and Australia, the map on the screen shows some of the other places these young people are travelling to. There is also such a huge range of the types of events they're attending. Some recent examples include Hip Hop World Championships, World Speed Skating Competition, the Under-18 World Softball Champs, World Ultimate Frisbee Championships, and New Zealand Strongest Man Competition. Of course, with these exciting activities, there is often a huge financial cost to participate. Although our board can only provide a small contribution, the feedback we receive is very much appreciated and certainly helps to ease the burden. It is also great to see what some of these young people go on to achieve. A great example is Taylor Bruce from the Burnside Bowling Club, who recently became a world champion following her win at the World Bowls Championships in September. Taylor received a Youth Development Grant back in 2015 to represent New Zealand at the Hong Kong International Bowls Classic.
Cool, and next up, on the 23rd of September, the Elmwood Park Bowling Club had their grand opening, and it was such a treat to cut the ribbon and be part of this special milestone. So this venue has been a hub for the community and has seen different iterations, such as the Elmwood Beach, when the establishment of the Elmwood Sports Hub was created in a response post-earthquake. It was a great example of ingenuity and design, and the stunning new club is no exception. We'd like to congratulate all the effort and hard work the club has undertaken to bring this vision and building to life. And I'm not being paid to make this plug at all, but if you are looking for a Christmas activity coming up for the social season that's just around the corner, a bowls event at the stunning space would be ideal.
We'd like to finish today with a shout out to staff for helping out the local community garden in Brindwa. This garden is situated in a low socio-economic area of our city and brings local residents together to connect and benefit from their work in the garden. The group mentioned to our community development advisor Natalie Daly that they were wanting to get some fruit trees but just couldn't afford them. Natalie made a few calls and our wonderful staff in the parks unit had provided the group with 3 trees, a nectarine, pear and apricot tree. The group is over the moon with this generous donation, but are still on the lookout for a lemon tree if anyone has one going. Natalie will even come and pick it up.
And that's us. Thank you so much. Happy to take questions if there's time.
Thank you very much. One thing I will say, I've actually just sent a lady called Christina's number to Sam because I haven't got your number. They were involved with the pump track out at Bexley Reserve, a proper built one to international standards, and they're looking for another place to build one in Christchurch, even though it's a lot smaller than the one out there, and that's got all the safety issues sorted. So
great.
Sam will give that to you, and we'll see if they can put another one or two around the city.
Yeah,
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you for coming in. Okay, next we've got Papua Innis Central. Emma and Simon, please.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you for having us along here today to give you an update on what's been happening in our Waipapa Papanui Inner Central Community Board area. Just a quick rundown on our meeting last month. We decided to grant a new lease to the Marist Harewood Cricket Club for their club rooms at Redwood Park. We granted $4,500 from our discretionary response fund to 40 Summer With Your Neighbours applicants for local community get-togethers. It's always fantastic to be able to fund these local gatherings, and we've had a good uptake this year from right across our board area. We granted $1,100 from our DRF towards our School Civic Awards project, which you'll hear more about as we head towards the end of the year, and another $2,000 to City Park Community Patrol Christchurch, who are doing some really valuable work around Christchurch Hospital and across the central city. We also had a couple of Youth Development Fund allocations made last month, which you'll see there as well.
Speed Freaks is a running and walking group which has a kaupapa to increase health, well-being and connection, supporting recovery from addiction and mental distress through those vehicles of walking and running. And the Speed Freaks Trust has just recently signed an activation agreement with us, the council, for a long-term booking of Richmond Cottage, which is London and Pavitt Street, and they're just interacting too and just managing to accommodate other groups that already had existing bookings there. So yeah, great to see full utilisation of that facility in our community.
Last month, our board had an update from the Shirley Village project, which has now been working in the community-led development space in Shirley for 5 years now. Their mahi has focused around addressing the underlying causes of problems in the community and inspiring communities' approach where, with the support of organisations around them, residents get to the point where they believe they can make change in the community. They started with graffiti and are now working on bigger community issues, such as the community-led violence prevention plan that is now in place. This year the focus is on sustainability, and residents have developed a community plan with a focus on the local environment, community wellbeing and an enabled community. Our board is looking forward to continuing to contribute where we can to these essential ingredients which have been identified in order to achieve the aspirations and goals of the community. And a number of them focus around the development and enhancement of McFarlane Park.
Early September, our governance staff facilitated the most recent community liaison meeting between community groups in our board area, and we're really fortunate to have a strong group of well-connected community organisations. This meeting highlighted strengths of community-led development in the area, value for community groups of partnering with council and also connecting with each other and sharing ideas amongst the groups that are working for that common goal of advancing and supporting our communities.
One of the priorities in our community board plan is having a connected transport network in our board area, and we've been listening to what our residents have been saying and have a number of things we're working with staff on. It was good to see the Richmond Greenway cycle connection get the green light here at council recently, and we look forward to seeing the idea which came from the Richmond Residents and Business Association become a reality. We're working with Parks on the possibility of getting a path through part of the Styx River Conservation Reserve to link up the shared path that runs along the CNC motorway with Redwood Springs. And we're also looking at ways to improve pedestrian safety along Springfield Road.
And finally, the Cancer Society held an open home for the new Canterbury Cancer Centre on Langdons Road just on the 30th of September. So this forms a hub to access services and it also provides accommodation for people from around the South Island who are travelling here to receive treatment. The facility has 46 hotel type rooms and also 4 2-bedroom apartments for people that need to stay there.
And there's us.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okie doke. So now we've got Hornby, Horsell, Riccarton. Is Marie here as well? Or just you, Helen?
Yes, thank you.
You're it. Okay.
I'm
Good.
at with
Oh, here she is.
Who's our governance
Can't see
manager.
that far.
Good morning. Good morning.
say
I
that
just want to
probably, yeah.
explain, in case you think I'm from the Ark, which I kind of am, that I did bring in my computer. I normally work with my computer, but wants my passcode, and I had to go home and look at that. So I'm sorry. I'm working from paper. Thank you. So the reports to the board. We did bus stops upgrades on Hanson's Lane near Blenheim Road, curb renewal, Kissel Street and Banks Avenue, Noodlam Way, proposed no stopping restrictions, summer with your neighbours 2023 to 2024. Under our discretionary response fund, we did Horswell Incorporated, Rusty Play Centre and Hornby Presbyterian Community Trust. Youth Development Fund allocations, I probably don't need to go through all of those, but there's a range of competing at national events and overseas events. So we've always had a large number of youth applications, which are fully supported by the board. Progress on community board plan priorities. We've had a discussion about better off funding, and staff are investigating the feasibility of a number of options, and it's hoped the board will be in a position to make some grants before the end of the year. Thank you. Community Service Awards. We had quite a highlight where we had our board presented Community Service and Youth Awards. This is probably the time we've had 4 Youth Service Awards. It's normally around 2, and it's the first time we've had this for a couple of years, so it was very, very well attended. Platinum Park seat installation. We had 182 signatures for a seat to be installed in Platinum Park in Wigram. Went to the board on the 15th of June, and Jess, I think it was done within 2 months. Yes, so that was very fast, and it serviced a sort of large rest home in that area. I shouldn't say rest home, retirement village. Planting at Muir Park, Horswell, 40 tamariki from Te Kura Oti Tawa and under 4s from Horswell Quarry Preschool completed their 3rd working bee of the year, planting in the riparian planting area with 150 new plants. The children worked hard to remove weeds, plant and spread mulch to enhance biodiversity and improve the water quality of Nottingham Stream, and that's in the Horswell area. And Springlands Volunteer Group. The Springlands Volunteer Group that regularly meets to care for the reserve has planted over 600 trees and removed invasive pest weeds. The dedicated group of trappers continues to undertake weekly trap checks and have doubled their number of traps to 40. The project is driven by a desire to see an increase in native bird life in the wetland area. And if I could just conclude, you've had a submission from Wigram, the Wigram Trust, and it's in the Hornby area. And I think we're fully supportive of what's happening there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. No questions. Thank you very. Oh, yeah, Councillor Moore.
Just in relation to the seat at Platinum Park, I've been told that it's been very well received, very well used, and there's in fact even been queues to use the seat, particularly when it's first opened. So it's not actually a question, but I thank very much everyone involved in getting it there.
Yes. And it was very speedily done too, which was good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great. Thank you,
Good.
Helen.
Thank you much.
Good on you. Okay, so next we've got Coastal Burwood Linwood. Paul and Jackie, please.
Tēnā koutou katoa, Mayor and Councillors. Firstly, on the South Library, our Community Board supports the rebuild of the library because in 2015, the Spraddon Heathcote Community Board supported delaying the repair and rebuild of the South Library so that the Council could deliver projects in the east first, and I was the chair of the Sprouting Heathcote board at the time, so I think the council should honour that. So, and now to some highlights now from our community board area. The Bromley Community Centre held the community board held a briefing in the Bromley Community Centre that Jackie chaired in my absence, and the board received presentations from a number of Linwood community groups, including the Bromley Community Centre. And just to note, the Bromley Community Centre is one of the organisations that can no longer provide free food parcels because they're being charged for them. And we also had the Linwood Park outdoor movie, which Kawa Rangatahi and YCD provided, and saw screen Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, on the courts at Te Pou Toitoi on the 15th of September. There was a really, really good turnout from families bringing chairs and blankets to enjoy the film, and free food and drinks that were provided. Another cool thing, which you may have seen if you've driven out down Pages Road, is this mural which was done by former soldier Chris Solly, which is a scene from the Battle of the Somme. It's just by the RSA housing there across the road from Waipuna. And another one was the Waimairi Beach Residents Association did a really good clean-up of Waimairi Beach and got 6 big bags of rubbish, which is really awesome. And coming back to our big important issue for advocacy, you know that the consultation on this is just closed, and there's been feedback from all across the city. Just want to remind you that the people in Bromley are the ones who are affected by this. It's the whole city's waste, including waste from Waimakariri, and there is nervousness in the community that their voice will be kind of drowned out. I know it's not a referendum, but just, we just want to communicate again that the community are anxious about this. It's been a long time, 14 years. And I just want to touch briefly on, before Jackie finishes off, on the QE2 alcohol ban. So just want to highlight, it's just for the events. It's just like what happens at like North Hagley, where there's a temporary alcohol ban on the streets around it and on the park. And so the event, if it has a special license, will be a licensed premise, so people will be able to consume alcohol there. So it's just like some of the other ones. And finally, Jackie is going to touch on issue with the food banks.
Good morning, councillors and Mr Mayor. I believe you should all be aware of the situation with the Canterbury Food Bank that has most of the contracts for collecting food from supermarkets that is designated as unfit to sell. They have recently initiated a service fee for delivery to the local community food banks. That service fee is actually delivered as an invoice, and it is itemised per item of food that is given. This has resulted in the closure of a number of community food banks. Two that I can come to mind immediately are the Bromley Community Centre and St John's Church and Ferry Road, but I do know it also has impacted on the Phillipstown Hub, which is not in our ward, but also in other places. We have now, our community board has an application from another food bank for its discretionary response fund to actually fund this food bank so that it can continue working. And I don't believe that it is the place of the community boards to be funding food banks from discretionary response funds. It also shouldn't be up to community organisations that are staffed by volunteers to go and source funding to cover the service fee. We believe that it should be up to the Canterbury Food Bank to do a bulk search for funding for their service fee. And the reason, for that is our food banks are, for the most part, staffed by volunteers. And just, to finish off, it is fundamentally wrong to expect vulnerable communities and vulnerable people to pay for expired food. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Happy to take questions if you have any.
And there is time for none, but thank you very much for bringing those, especially those last two points to our attention. Thank you very much.
Kia ora.
Okay, so now we've got Banks Peninsula. Lynn and Penelope, please.
Morena, kia ora koutou katoa. It's my great pleasure again to be here to update you on the happenings of Banks Peninsula. This month, the board approved 17 grants for Summer with Your Neighbours community gatherings. It really feels like summer, actually. If you just walk out there, you'll probably feel a bit of summer today. And it really is just around the corner. It's lovely to see that those gatherings will be happening and hopefully more to come. We also approved the Domain Landscape Development Plan for Takamatua after hearing and considering deputations made by community members. There is an excitement in Little River as the board application to MBE for a grant to upgrade the Wairewa Little River public toilets was successful. With Wairewa being the gateway to Banks Peninsula, there is a collective sigh of relief because soon the community can host its visitors from far and wide without worrying that the toilet sewage system or water supply might let them down again. Community responsiveness to emergencies. There has been growing interest peninsula-wide in preparing for emergencies. Recently, a meeting was held in Little River which was well attended. Hearing from the community, local fire brigade, Wairewa Runanga, and supported by community development staff and CDEM, the consensus was to share information and resources while developing specific areas and their plans for those areas. I find it very encouraging to see the communities planning ahead for emergencies, and I feel privileged to be able to be part of supporting this process. Naval Point. We heard about progress of the Naval Point development, which continues to improve facilities for the use for locals and the neighbours. Our reserve committees are featuring strongly in our community engagement this month. They have been liaising with staff to create their triennial plan. Plus, the Garden of Tane in Akaroa presented their proposed triennial plan to the board, which was great. And with all of this in mind, the board will take into account the reserve committee goals when creating our long-term plan submission. The Littleton Recreation Centre had a blessing recently to unveil their new name to the community. The name Manawa Kawhi has been gifted to the centre by Te Hapu o Ngāti Wheki and symbolises collective strength and working together to create positive experiences and learning opportunities within the community. I think that's such a great name and it's got a great meaning as well, so I'm quite envious of them having that name. Well done. And the last slide is a picture of the beautiful Tumbledown Bay, which is a popular beach just 20 minutes from Little River. Like many of our outer bays on the peninsula this summer, I'm imagining they'll be very popular and very busy with visitors escaping the summer heat. It's a beautiful spot, and I hope our often single lane roads can handle the higher traffic. But cross fingers, let's roll on to summer. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Got time for one question if there is one. Okay.
Perfect.
Something I prepared earlier.
I've got a minute 35. Kia ora, Lynn. Now, I was lucky enough to attend an announcement yesterday of a $5 million grant to help develop the aerospace facility out on Kaitoreti.
Yes.
So that's good. How good to have really good public toilets nearby in Little River to help, people who want to go out and see something that's going to give our economy a projected $2 billion with a B of economic benefits over the next 10 years.
Fantastic.
It's good to have facilities like that, isn't it?
Yes, that is really, really exciting. And there's a lot of thinking forward that needs to be done to cater for that. So this is just the start. That's great.
The question was, how good is it, Pauline?
Fantastic.
I could actually see the question in there. Thank you, Tyra. That was great. No, very, very well done, you guys out there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, guys.
Good on you. Okay, now Spraden Cashmere Heathcote. Well, Callum and Kia here? You're both here. Yep, thank you. And I know you're going to talk about South Library a little bit, so I'll give you a few extra minutes to put
Oh, look, really appreciate that. Thank you.
across.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
In fact, I think we'll focus entirely on South Library today. Yeah. So, tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi kia koutou. So, really glad to be here today to speak to you today, in particular to our board's Part A report on the South Library, which will be coming to you shortly. Thanks to the Mayor for the few extra minutes as well. Yeah, first things first, our board unanimously supports the staff recommendation that's before you in that report. And I want to go into a little bit about why. So obviously history here, following the Christchurch earthquakes, South Library was severely damaged and patched together. It's currently in poor condition, with only marginally above code, with huge inefficiencies as a result of earthquake damage, making it an expensive facility to run. It's not ideal as a place to work or play in that respect either, in the sense that there's problems with temperature control. But despite this, it's still one of the most well-used facilities of its kind in our city, and by some measures, it's busier than Tūranga. The board was delegated responsibility by council to provide governance oversight for the process for investigating options for rebuilding this facility or repairing it. So we've spent a lot of time as a board over the last short while in detailed discussions with the project team, architects and engineers, as well as the staff who use the facility on a daily basis, and there have been extensive consultation with the community, library users, neighbourhood associations, community groups that use the library, to really understand how it is that they use the facility, what's important to them about this facility. So we feel that staff have put in the work with the consultation, and we're really impressed with the work that they've done there.
Yeah, so we, and I think council sent us this direction. We looked into multiple options and really scrutinised the detail thoroughly. I'd really like to acknowledge Lee Sampson, who has a development company of his own, but also as a former council project manager, is wise to all the tricks and challenges out there in council land. And we really drilled into what the options were to try and get to the one that was most cost effective. There are two other options that are covered in the report. So one of them is pushing the rebuild out to a future date, i.e. a short-term delay. This is likely to cause further cost escalation with the delay in construction. And there's also, if this is pushed out too far, then the better off funding will be lost, which will contribute to quite a significant increase in the project cost. The patch temporary works are an ongoing reality, which leads to increased maintenance day to day, which is not ideal. And particularly, there is a major risk of a short term, if there's a further event and that building degrades any further, there's a risk that it will have to be closed immediately, which would have severe impact on the network functionality, and that would have some real severe consequences. The other option that was looked at was essentially strengthening and delaying the rebuild for 10 to 15. The challenge here is that it's likely that $3 million of the better off funding would be lost from the project. The other $6 million of better off is consumed in repairing a building which will have a short lifespan. That $6 million goes into a very short-term fix. And it kicks the can down the road. It doesn't tackle the challenge of having a building which isn't actually fit for purpose at the moment. It will also double the impact of having to shift services, because obviously you'll have to shift the services while you repair and strengthen, and then you'll have to shift the services again when you finally do make that rebuild decision. And the life of that building is just not going to be good enough. So in looking at the total cost of ownership, I guess, it just doesn't stack up, unfortunately. And it does leave you with that short-term problem of also having a high OPEX building with a lot of sweated and maintenance that will need to be addressed quite aggressively.
Yeah, so, I mean, that being said, the headline is really that there's not an alternative here that's going to save council money in the long term. And as a board, we regret the high price tag. We'd love to be able to be here and say that we'd love to spend the money on books and librarians rather than bricks and mortar. But unfortunately, construction cost inflation is not something that's within our board or even the council's control. I want to address a few comments that I've heard from presenters here today already that we can possibly save money by delaying, and the reality is that delays will increase rates. That is just a fact. We've heard the words gold-plated thrown around. And I think it's important here not to confuse the numbers we're looking at. The project cost, what's on budget, that 33 million number that you can see in front of you there is not the construction price of the facility. That's the cost of everything together, including contingency, shifting services, etc., as well as landscaping. As per the staff report, you can see that the cost per square metre of this facility sits bang in the middle of about 8 different facilities of the same scale that have been built recently in our region. And I just want to sort of front foot as well the conversation around value engineering. This at the end of the day, this is a like-for-like replacement we're talking about here. It's on the exact same slab as the current building. Any significant value engineering here that's going to make a big dent in the overall cost, it really means scope reduction. And scope reduction for a like-for-like replacement means reduced levels of service to the community. And that's just the reality we're looking at the moment. So we do regret the high price tag, but let's remember why we're here. That the board has taken a citywide perspective and put other communities with higher needs ahead of our own with respect to earthquake repairs and rebuilds. In particular, examples will be the Hornby Centre and the Linwood Pool. And while we stand by that decision, it is the primary reason for the delayed rebuild of this facility and thus the increased cost of building in a now inflationary construction inflation environment. We are excited that it's now the turn of the South Library and Service Centre. The facility is well loved, and it's more than just a library. It's a place where children can come to participate in learning programs, play on the playground. It's somewhere to sit quietly and have refreshments at the cafe. The governance team's located there. City Council service staff are located there. It's the site of a thriving farmers market every week, and it's a key place of connection to the beautiful Opawaho Heathcote River. In a cost of living crunch, places like libraries are extremely important. They are the only public places where one can pass the time in a warm room with toilets, access to books and magazines, Wi-Fi, and helpful, friendly staff without the need to purchase anything. This is a facility that's going to be here for 30 to 50 years. And I know that many councillors around the table here have campaigned explicitly in support of our city's library network, but I'm sure that all of you, like us, are really excited to be something that's going to be essentially a generational investment by this council. So we're really excited to bring this report to you today, and I look forward to conversation and discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Spot on timing, 99. We'll have questions in the...
Yeah, I'll be joining staff for the report presentation.
Okay. Righto, so what I'm going to do is bring...
Just going to point out they haven't showed all the slides.
Oh, right.
Yes. It's vaulting, very topical.
Yeah.
And
yes,
yeah.
That's it. Just to remind you. Yeah. Thanks, Mel.
A mild crack. Thank you, guys. Right, now what I'm going to do now is actually bring item 12 forward in front of item 11 because it's sort of, it's what we're...
Need to move them.
Oh, yes, I do too, sorry. Thank you to all the boards for their presentations. I'll now ask for a mover and seconder. Pauline and Tyrone, thank you. All those in favour? Against, thank you. Right, I'll now move item 12 up and